The four main gates of Seoul represent today's Korean capital. The four gates are Seoul, and Seoul begins with its four gates. Seoul is surrounded by four outer mountains, Yongmasan, Hwanaksan, Deokyansan, and Bukhansan, as well as four inner mountains, Namsan, Inwangsan, Bugaksan, and Naksan. These mountains act as protective barriers for the city. Seoul in the Joseon dynasty was bordered by the castle walls that connected the four inner mountains. King Taejo began building gates to connect the walls. These gates became known as Sukjeongmun in the north, Donimun in the west, Sunglaemun in the south, and Hungin-jimun in the east. The gates contained the king's wish and Joseon's political spirit of Inyeji, that the people would become virtuous, just, pious, and wise. When the Japanese colonial period began in Korea, the four gates were in peril. In 1906, when Japanese rule began, the northern wall of Sunglaemun, the main gate of Seoul and national treasure number 1, was torn down to make room for a road. The next year, the southern wall was also destroyed. Hungin-jimun, the only gate to have a smaller protective castle, was also rid of its wall by the Japanese under the pretense that a railroad would be built. Now it is left standing in the middle of the road. But even this was a happy fate. Donimun, also known as West Gate, was torn down completely in 1915 to make room for a railroad. The Japanese changed the name of the surrounding area to Seodaemun. Now, there are few who even remember the name Donimun. Donimun was famous as the gate through which diplomatic envoys passed. Chinese envoys of old would equip their procession at the Mohagwan, currently the Dongnimun, and pass through Donimun to reach Seoul. In 2009, the city of Seoul made long-term plans to restore Donimun and Seoul's castle walls. This restoration is deeply meaningful in that it represents the recovery of not only a cultural artifact destroyed by foreign powers, but the recuperation of natural pride. It is also important that Donimun is restored exactly in its original form to demonstrate that the Joseon philosophy of Inyeji is still very much alive. The 2.175 kilometers of the 18.627 kilometer Seoul Castle walls that have not yet been restored will also undergo construction. The castle walls evolved from simple defensive structures to symbols of the absolute power of the throne and the nation. The Joseon dynasty saw the use of a mountain castle flatland castle system. This was a defense system maximizing the utility of the Korean landscape and represented a very different castle culture from that of the West. Now Seoul will nurse the wounds of history and restore the castle walls and gates that have guarded it for so long, opening the door to a new era of change and history. Seoul is ready to be reborn as a new global historical city. It is ready to begin another exciting 600 years.